Chapter 23. Why does the Kyama want me? Waiyaki asked again as soon as they had stepped out. Oh, I don't know exactly, Kamau answered vaguely, yet with a note of finality that invited no more questions. Waiyaki's mind was with his mother. Then he remembered the frightening images that had passed through his mind while he had lain awake in bed. He looked around in the darkness and felt a terror of nothing visible pursue him. "It is a dark night," he commented. "It is dark," Kamau agreed. These two never held a long conversation together, not unless there was a third person. Kinodia had always been the third person. Kamau saw in Waiyaki the hope that always snatched his piece of meat when he himself was about to eat it. How would he ever rise to succeed as long as Waiyaki was in the way? He came to hate him. The hatred had grown slowly, gathering violence as the years dragged along, and yet Kamau felt more and more powerless to fight against Waiyaki. He could never quite rouse himself to the effort. The lone hut to which they went was a distance from Kavonya's group of mud huts. The outside was dimly lit by a small lantern that was put on a stone near the fireplace. In the fireplace were glowing pieces of wood, which gave an oppressive warmth to the hut. Waiyaki was aware of figures lurking in the edges of darkness, and he took them for the elders. "Is it well with you all?" "It is well." There was not the same warmth of response, and they did not call him the teacher, a title which was now his name. He sat on a stool and wondered what was coming. It was Kavonya who spoke first. He was old, very old, yet his eyes had that glitter in them that made you think they were the only live things in him. But he had energy, and you could detect this in his voice. He spoke about the ridges, the initiation ceremonies that were under preparation. Now, this ancient custom was about to be ruined by certain impurities in the land. The disease in the ridges had started with Joshua. The death of Modoni had been the first contamination. But that is not our fear. The trouble now comes because the impurity in Joshua has caught some in our midst. It is the hidden soul in your body that kills you. Here he looked at Waiyaki meaningfully. A numbness came over the teacher as he heard Kavonya speak. He did not know where the talk was leading, but he could guess. He remembered Kinodia's warning, the elders' hints, and his own mother's questions. Waiyaki thought, and all this time while I have busied myself with the education of their children, something like bitterness began to eat into him. To hear Kavonya speak in that voice, you would never think that he had once been one of Joshua's followers. "Yes," Kavonya repeated slowly. There was a strange stillness in the hut. It was a stillness such as precedes a storm or an explosion. It is bad when he who has taken himself to be the leader of the people is touched by the impurity, for he is still in a position to spread the Dahu to those close to him, the stem and roots of the tribe. Such a person is a danger and he needs cleansing. Again, Kavonya paused, and his eyes rolled all round the hut, finally resting on Waiyaki. You could not tell if there was malice or scorn in that look. He spoke in an even voice, and his words were measured. "You, our teacher, no doubt remember that girl. What was her name?" "Which girl?" Waiyaki forced himself to ask. "I am in the dark." "Joshua's daughter. Her name?" "Well, yes, Modoni. She was not clean, yet you took her to the hospital. You touched a dying woman, a dead body. And were you even cleansed?" "I do not think so, but you ought to have been. You are not ignorant, and you know what this means to the tribe." Waiyaki was going to speak, but Kavonya waved him into silence. "I have not finished. That is the first thing you have done to the tribe. It is not a small thing. Then you were not a teacher, a person to whom we entrusted our children. But since you rose into the position in which you are, you have deliberately worked against the tribe. How many times have you been in Joshua's church? How many? No, wait. You have also been to Syriana. How many times? We know of two. You never told anybody that you were going there. Do you expect us to believe that you went to get teachers? Do you really? You'll have to tell us of any secret dealings between you, Joshua, and Syriana. Will you sell us to the white man? You see how restless and impatient our people are. They cry for a leader to save them from slavery. And you who ought to have led them. Stop! Stop! Waiyaki shouted with anger. Then he realized that he ought not to shout at a man much older than himself. I don't know what you're talking about. He tried to regulate his voice with difficulty. He wanted to rise and cry, "You fool! You fool!" But he felt weary. He writhed within and remained stuck to his seat. Another elder was speaking. It was the same elder who had dropped hints to Waiyaki a few weeks back. Betrayal. Betrayal is a bad thing for a man in a position of influence. The curse of the people will fall on him. You elders will remember Nganyira. He was a great warrior. He led the tribe. But what happened? He was tempted by a Masai woman. He betrayed the tribe's secrets to the enemy. The curse of the people destroyed him. I could mention Wangira. He added a few more names of people who had been unfaithful to the tribe and were in the end caught by the wrath of the people. That is why we want you today. That is why you must tell us the truth. Are you marrying Joshua's daughter or not? For unless we know the position, how can we entrust our secrets with you? How can we know they will not later reach the white man? At last it had come. Yet he ought to have known. He was now on trial at Makoyo, and he did not feel that he wanted to defend himself. Yet he spoke, forcing himself to remain calm. Elders, I did not know that such accusations based on rumors could ever reach me from your mouths. I am young. I think that youth should be led, and where we go wrong, you, our fathers, can and should correct us. Yet I see there is something more than the desire to correct in these accusations. I took Ronnie to the hospital because she was ill. I could never have let her die if I was in a position to help. I am not the person who initiated her. If she was unclean, why did the elders not object to her initiation? When she died, I did not touch her. As for Syriana, I can only tell you that I have never entered into any negotiation with the white man. I had gone there to try and get teachers for our schools, which you agreed to build. There is no secret dealing between me and Joshua. I have never spoken to him. What about going to his church? Kaboni asked. What has that got to do with anybody? Waiyaki asked, anger getting the better of his calmness. It concerns the tribe, the people, and their purity, another elder put in. Kaboni and the Kyama were asking him to stand by their beliefs, beliefs that would destroy his mission of healing the rift between Makoyo and Pameno, between Joshua and the others. His mission of enlightenment through education would come to nothing. No, he could not be threatened into standing by Kaboni. And if he came under the power of Kaboni, all the work he had tried to do for the last few years would be annihilated. He must make his stand clear. Again, he forced himself to remain calm. I too am concerned with the purity of the tribe. I am also concerned with the growth and development of the regions. We cannot do this through hatred. We must be united, Christians and non-Christians, Makoyo or Komeno. For salvation of the hills lies in our hands. Yet you would not fight the white man, an elder interrupted. Our land is gone slowly, taken from us, while we and our young men sit like women watching, another elder put in. And we and our wives are forced to pay taxes. Still another followed. The schools, Waiyaki pleaded with passion. We must know what the white man knows. We need a leader, a political leader. Education, Waiyaki started to say. Nothing. We need action now. Kabonyi said triumphantly. But you have not replied to our worries. This girl, Joshua's daughter, are you marrying her? Waiyaki rose. He was now really exasperated. What had Nganyira got to do with me? What? Could he not do whatever he wanted with his own life? Or was his life not his own? He would tell them nothing about Nganyira. Nganyira has nothing to do with this. If I love her, I love her. If you have nothing else to tell me, I will go. Remember the oath. The oath. You took it. It did not forbid me to love people. It forbids you to betray the tribe, to reveal its secrets, or to do anything unclean which might ruin us. He would not discuss Nganyira, a girl who had rejected him. He looked at Kabonyi. Hatred was all that the dimming light from the lantern could reveal. The gleam in Kamau's eyes spoke of silent triumph, and Waiyaki now knew that even Kamau hated him. Yet Waiyaki was more annoyed with himself, for he felt he had not put up a good fight. Maybe he had lost grip with the tribe. Maybe he did not know where he was leading them. As he left them and walked out, the word traitor followed him, and he wondered if he had actually seen all the consequences of the awareness he had aroused in the hills. But bitterness and frustration mingled and drove him away. He felt angry with everybody, his own father, Nganyira, the elders, and with himself. Kabonyi felt now triumphant as he faced the elders. Elders of the tribe, I told you, you would not believe me. He has not denied associating with Joshua or the white man. How can he continue to be a teacher? How can we go on following him? Where is he leading us? He was always like that, an elder said sadly. It is the girl. The girl has turned his mind the wrong way. As we said earlier, one more elder commented, all these Christians should be circumcised by force. Yes, a few voices assented, but not all, for some feared that such an action would bring Dahu to the land. End of chapter 23.